What if I told you that the secret to a meaningful life lies in accepting that life has no meaning at all? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about purpose, happiness, and what it means to be human. Picture this. You wake up every morning. You brush your teeth. You go to work. You come home. You sleep. Repeat. Sound familiar? Now here's the question that will haunt you. What's the point of it all? Albert Camus, the brilliant French philosopher who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1957, spent his entire life wrestling with this very question. And what he discovered might disturb you, or it might set you free. See, Camus believed that we live in what he called an absurd universe, a place where human beings desperately search for meaning, in a world that offers none whatsoever. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of drowning in despair, Camus found something extraordinary in this darkness. He found hope. Let me tell you a story that will explain everything. In Greek mythology, there was a man named Sisyphus. The gods punished him with a cruel fate. Every day, he had to push a massive boulder up a mountain. Every day, just as he reached the top, the boulder would roll back down. And every day, he had to start over for eternity. Sound like your life? Wake up, work, sleep, repeat. Push the boulder up the mountain, watch it roll back down. Start again tomorrow. But Camus saw something beautiful in Sisyphus, something that will change how you see your own struggles. He wrote, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart." You see, Camus realized that once we accept the absurdity of our existence, we become free to create our own meaning, free to choose our own purpose, free to live on our own terms. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. 5 powerful ways to find meaning in a meaningless life, straight from the philosophy of Albert Camus. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? Like there's something missing? Something you can't quite put your finger on? You're not alone. We live in a world that offers us endless options, but no clear direction. We're bombarded with information, distracted by technology, and told that happiness is just one purchase away. But what if the answer isn't out there? What if it's been inside you all along? Way number 1, seek something worth dying for. Camus once wrote something that will stop you in your tracks. What is called a reason for living is also an excellent reason for dying. Read that again. Let it sink in. Every day, people around the world take their own lives because they can't find a reason to keep going. But every day, other people sacrifice their lives for something they believe in. Soldiers die for their country. Activists die for justice. Parents die protecting their children. What's the difference? The difference is meaning, purpose. A reason so powerful that it makes life worth living and worth dying for. During World War II, Camus joined the French resistance. He watched friends die fighting against Nazi occupation. These weren't suicidal people. They were people who had found something so meaningful that they were willing to risk everything for it. But here's what's fascinating. In our modern world, finding something worth dying for has become incredibly difficult. We live in comfort. We have endless choices. We're protected from most forms of sacrifice, and that's exactly why so many of us feel lost. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly passionate about something? When was the last time you lost track of time because you were so absorbed in what you were doing? Maybe it was in school when you were learning about different countries and cultures. Maybe it was when you were writing, or painting, or solving a complex problem. Maybe it was when you were helping someone in need. But then, life happened. You chose a practical career. You settled for stability over passion. You chose safety over meaning. And slowly, gradually, your life became, well, meaningless. But it's not too late. It's never too late. Camus believed that we must cultivate strong passions based on our deepest desires. Then we must organize our entire lives around these passions. Not as a hobby, not as a side project, but as the very center of our existence. Here's what you need to do. Make a list. Write down every moment in your life when you were so engaged in something that hours felt like minutes. Think about the activities that make you happy just by thinking about them. Maybe you're passionate about travel. Maybe you're passionate about helping the poor. Maybe you're passionate about creating art, or building businesses, or teaching children. Whatever it is, that passion is your clue. It's pointing you toward your reason for living, your reason for dying. Now, connect that passion to something bigger than yourself. How can your love of travel help others explore the world? How can your desire to help the poor make a real difference in your community? How can your art inspire others to see beauty in darkness? When you find that connection, when you find that cause worth dying for, you'll discover something magical. You'll discover that you finally have a reason worth living for. Way number 2, decide your future every day. Camus had a simple but profound belief. Life is a sum of all your choices. So, what are you doing today? Every moment of every day, you're making choices. Small ones, big ones, choices that seem insignificant in the moment, but shape your entire future. What time you wake up, what you eat for breakfast, whether you check your phone first thing in the morning or spend those precious minutes in reflection, whether you choose to complain about your circumstances or take action to change them. Every choice is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. But here's the problem. Most people sleepwalk through their choices. They react instead of respond. They drift instead of decide. They let life happen to them instead of making life happen. And then they wonder why they feel powerless. They wonder why they feel like their life has no direction, no purpose, no meaning. The answer is simple. You can't find meaning in a life you're not actively creating. Think about it this way. There are 2 types of people in this world. The first type knows exactly what they want. They have a clear vision of their future. They make decisions based on their values and their goals. They understand that every choice is either moving them closer to their ideal life or further away from it. The second type has no clear vision. They don't know what they want. They make decisions based on what's easiest, what's most comfortable, what everyone else expects of them. Which type are you? If you discover that you find meaning in serving others, then every decision you make should reflect that value. You might choose to become a doctor, a teacher, a social worker. You might volunteer at a homeless shelter. You might donate to charity instead of buying that expensive gadget you don't really need. But if you say you value service while spending your evenings watching Netflix and your weekends shopping, well, you're lying to yourself. Your choices reveal your true values. Here's a powerful exercise. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 questions. What choices did I make today that moved me closer to my ideal life? What choices did I make that moved me further away? What will I choose to do differently tomorrow? This isn't about perfection. It's about consciousness. It's about taking responsibility for your life, instead of letting life happen to you. Remember, the future isn't something that happens to you. The future is something you create, one choice at a time. Way number 3. Cultivate love. Here's something that might surprise you. Camus, the philosopher who believed life was absurd and meaningless, had this to say about love. A loveless world is a dead world. In his novel The Plague, Camus writes about a city devastated by disease. When faced with such existential horror, something beautiful happens. All the petty divisions disappear. Political opinions become irrelevant. Social status means nothing. Religious differences fade away. What matters? Only love. Only connection. Only the bonds between human beings. In times of crisis, we remember what's truly important. We remember that we need each other. We remember that love is the only thing that makes life worth living. But here's the tragedy. We forget this lesson as soon as the crisis passes. We go back to our isolated lives, our competitive mindsets, our endless pursuit of things that don't really matter. We work 60-hour weeks to afford a bigger house, but we never have time to enjoy it with the people we love. We chase promotions and raises, but we neglect the relationships that actually bring us joy. We accumulate possessions while our hearts grow empty. Camus understood something profound. Without love, you're not really living. You're just existing. You're like a robot going through the motions, performing daily routines without any real happiness or fulfillment. But love isn't just about romantic relationships. Love takes many forms. There's the love between parents and children, the love between friends, the love of a teacher for their students, the love of a doctor for their patients, the love of an artist for their craft. There's even what Camus called transcendental love, love for all of humanity, for justice, for truth, for beauty. All of these forms of love can give your life meaning and purpose. So how do you cultivate love in your life? Here's what Camus would tell you. Choose a profession you love. If you spend 40 hours a week doing something you hate, you're poisoning your life. Find a way to align your work with your passions. Marry someone you genuinely love and respect. Don't settle for convenience or security. Life is too short to spend it with the wrong person. Surround yourself with friends you truly care about. Let go of relationships that drain you. Invest in relationships that energize you. Live in a place you love. If you're a nature lover stuck in a concrete jungle, you're suffocating your soul. If you're a city person trapped in a small town, you're denying yourself the energy that feeds you. Spend your free time doing things you genuinely enjoy. Stop doing things just because you think you should. Start doing things because they bring you joy. Show love to your family through actions, not just words. Call your parents. Hug your children. Be present when you're with them. Join communities that share your values. Find your tribe. Connect with people who understand you and support your growth. For everything you choose to do and everyone you choose to spend time with, ask yourself, how much do I love this? How much does this add to my life? If the answer is not much, then you know what you need to change. Way number 4. Be your best at each moment. Camus believed something radical. Real generosity towards the future lies in giving all to the present. Most people live in the future. They sacrifice today for tomorrow. They betray their current selves for some imagined future self. They compromise their values for potential gains. But Camus saw this as a form of self-betrayal. He believed that the only way to honor the future was to honor the present. To give your all right now. To live according to your values in this moment, regardless of the consequences. He called this rebellion. Not the destructive kind of rebellion, but the life-affirming kind. The kind that says, I will not betray who I am for any promise of what I might become. Let me give you an example. Imagine you work for a company and you see yourself as a person of integrity. You're hoping for a promotion, and the decision will be made by your boss. One day, you discover that your boss has been falsifying data to make his department look better. You have two choices. Stay silent and hope he rewards your loyalty with a promotion, or report him to upper management and risk your career prospects. What would you do? Most people would stay silent. They'd justify it by saying they need the job, they have a family to support, they can't afford to rock the boat. But Camus would say, this is exactly the wrong choice. By staying silent, you're betraying your integrity. You're teaching yourself that your values can be bought. You're becoming someone you don't respect. And what happens when you can't respect yourself? Life becomes meaningless. You look in the mirror and see someone who sold out, someone who compromised their deepest beliefs for short-term gain. The irony is that by trying to secure your future, you've destroyed your present. You've become a person you don't like, living a life that feels empty and false. Camus believed that true freedom comes from rebellion against this kind of compromise. It comes from saying, I will act according to my values, regardless of the consequences. This doesn't mean being reckless or stupid. It means being true to yourself. It means understanding that your self-respect is worth more than any external reward. When you live this way, something magical happens. You start to feel alive. You start to feel proud of who you are. You start to feel like your life has meaning because you are living it according to your own moral code. Every moment becomes an opportunity to honor your values. Every decision becomes a chance to be the person you want to be. This is what Camus meant by giving your all to the present. Not holding back. Not waiting for the right moment. Being your best self right now, in this moment, regardless of what tomorrow might bring. Way number 5. Find strength in the darkest moments. Here's perhaps the most beautiful thing Camus ever wrote. In the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me, there lay an invincible summer. Life will knock you down. That's not a possibility. That's a guarantee. You'll face loss, failure, disappointment, heartbreak. You'll have moments when everything seems hopeless, when the future seems bleak, when you wonder if it's even worth getting out of bed. These are the moments that define us. These are the moments when we discover who we really are. Camus understood that the collision between our desire for meaning and the world's apparent meaninglessness creates what he called the absurd. But he also understood that this absurdity could be a source of strength. When you realize that the external world doesn't provide meaning, you're forced to look inward. You're forced to become your own source of purpose and strength. Think about it. When everything external is stripped away, your job, your relationships, your possessions, your health, what remains? You remain. Your consciousness, your ability to choose, your capacity to create meaning from chaos. This is your invincible summer. This is the part of you that can't be destroyed by external circumstances. This is the part of you that can find light in the darkest moments. Let me tell you how to access this strength when you need it most. First, embrace solitude. When everything falls apart, don't immediately try to distract yourself. Don't run to social media or Netflix or alcohol. Instead, sit with your pain. Face it directly. Let yourself feel it fully. This isn't about wallowing in self-pity. This is about accepting reality. This is about understanding that suffering is part of the human experience, not a sign that something is wrong with you. Second, look for the lessons. What is this experience trying to teach you? What strengths are you developing that you didn't know you had? What do you understand now that you didn't understand before? Third, practice gratitude. Even in the darkest moments, there are things to be grateful for. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your intelligence. Maybe it's the fact that you live in a time and place where recovery is possible. Fourth, make a plan. Once you've processed your emotions and extracted the lessons, it's time to move forward. What's your next step? What can you do today to start rebuilding? Remember, you are not your circumstances. You are not your failures. You are not your losses. You are the consciousness that observes these things. You are the spirit that chooses how to respond. This is your invincible summer. This is the part of you that no one can touch, no matter what happens in the external world. So here we are, at the end of our journey through Camus's philosophy. You've learned 5 ways to find meaning in a meaningless life. But now I want to share with you the ultimate truth that ties everything together. The truth is this: meaning isn't something you find. Meaning is something you create. You don't discover your purpose like you discover a hidden treasure. You create your purpose through your choices, your actions, your values, your love. The universe doesn't hand you an instruction manual for life. The universe gives you consciousness, free will, and the power to decide what matters. This is both terrifying and liberating. It's terrifying because it means you're responsible for your own life. You can't blame your circumstances, your upbringing, or your bad luck. You have to take ownership of your choices and their consequences. But it's also liberating because it means you have the power to change everything. Right now. Today. In this moment, you can choose to pursue your passions instead of just surviving. You can choose to make decisions that align with your values instead of just reacting to circumstances. You can choose to love deeply instead of just going through the motions. You can choose to act with integrity instead of just protecting yourself. You can choose to find strength in adversity instead of just being a victim. These aren't easy choices. They require courage, commitment, and constant vigilance. But they're the choices that transform a meaningless existence into a meaningful life. Camus believed that we must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because his task has meaning, but because he has chosen to find meaning in the task itself. He has chosen to embrace the struggle, to find joy in the effort, to create purpose from absurdity. This is your challenge. This is your opportunity. This is your chance to create a life worth living in a world that offers no guarantees. The boulder will always roll back down the mountain. The question is this: what will you choose to do with that reality? Will you despair? Will you give up? Will you curse the absurdity of existence? Or will you smile, roll up your sleeves, and push that boulder up the mountain one more time, knowing that the struggle itself is enough to fill your heart? The choice is yours. It always has been. It always will be. And that, my friend, is the most beautiful truth of all. Your life has exactly as much meaning as you choose to give it. No more, no less. So what are you going to choose? What are you going to choose today?